There are reports more than 100 Palestinians died in the mob around aid trucks in northern Gaza. Some are blaming Israeli forces. Paul Strand has more on what happened and Israel's response.
The White House labeled the deadly incident caught on camera by Israeli military drones tremendously alarming and called for an investigation. It appears most who died were crushed by a crowd rushing the trucks or were run down as those trucks, driven by Gazans, began to flee the mob scene. In a separate incident, a few Gazans were apparently shot as a large crowd charged toward Israeli soldiers nearby. A U.S. aid official immediately criticized Israel.
Desperate civilians trying to feed their starving families should not be shot at.
But an Israeli military spokesman talked of Gazans being killed by their own neighbors, not the IDF.
Thousands of Gazans dispensed upon the trucks. Some began violently pushing and even trampling other Gazans to death, looting the humanitarian supplies.
Hagari says in the midst of much chaos, shots fired by IDF soldiers were only meant to disperse an angry mob and were never aimed at stopping the aid reaching Gazans.
No IDF strike was conducted towards the aid convoy.
The American Jewish Committee Global Voice reported of the more than 100 killed, fewer than 10 were shot. Reports continue to say Hamas is hijacking much of the aid. Meanwhile, ever more hungry, desperate Gazans are still camping out along aid routes. This man saying, quote, "I can't wait till my child dies from famine." In Beirut, Lebanon, an angry mob demanded more aid be allowed to reach Gazans, blaming Egypt for holding up more than 2,000 aid trucks near the Rafah crossing. This protester said, quote, "We will not allow Gaza to starve. We will not allow further genocide to occur." In the latest terrorist attack in Israel, a 57-year-old rabbi and a 16-year-old hitchhiker were shot dead in Samaria Thursday by a Palestinian Authority policeman turned terrorist.
He shot two of our residents where they were here in the gas station. One of our residents came from a hummus shop right here and killed the terrorist.
Amid all this, the Israeli military is carrying out its mission against Hamas, reporting that it's now killed 13,000 terrorists in the war in Gaza. Meanwhile, it appears talks to free hostages held in Gaza remain stalled. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel will free them one way or another.
Thanks to the combination of military pressure and tough negotiations, we succeeded in returning alive 112 of our hostages. We're determined to return them all. With or without an outline, we will fight until total victory.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Jerusalem.